Today, we're going to talk about meltdowns. Not the kind of meltdown we would experience if Homer Simpson actually worked at a nuclear power plant. We're going to talk about autistic adult meltdowns. So let's get started. Hey, Define Yourselfers, I am Chris Mitchell from theconfidentautistic.com. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I'm an autistic adult, late diagnosed, and an advocate for autistic adults, as well as a digital creator, empowering other autistic adults and everyone else to embrace autism. If this resonates with you, please show me some love by subscribing to this channel. And when you subscribe, do not forget to ring the bell to be notified of new videos and when I go live right here on the channel. An autistic meltdown is an involuntary physical response that occurs when your system feels completely overwhelmed by sensory or emotional input, and your emotions come out in an uncontrolled and sometimes explosive way. Meltdowns are a sign of distress and are not, I repeat, not a behavioral response to manipulate a situation. Meltdowns are caused by either a single event or a series of smaller events, usually from any of the following 7 trigger types. Sensory dysregulation, which can occur in a crowded market with lots of loud music and strong smells, or sitting in a brightly lit room with flickering lights, or when wearing itching clothing. Now, sensory dysregulation does not only include when your senses are overwhelmed. It can happen for some autistic people when our senses are understimulated, like you're not getting enough noise or not getting enough light. Your sensory needs are not being met, and that can contribute. That's one of the triggers that can contribute to or cause a meltdown. Changes in routines, such as sudden change in your work schedule, having to take a different route to work due to road construction or unexpected guests arriving. Challenging social situations, such as a large party with many unfamiliar people, being forced into small talk, or having to explain yourself repeatedly in a social setting. Difficulty communicating with others, such as experiencing a feeling of being misunderstood in a conversation, or being unable to express your needs clearly, aka advocating for yourself, and having to navigate complex social cues. Stressful situations such as public speaking, taking a high-stakes test, or dealing with a demanding person. Physical discomfort, such as feeling very hungry, being overtired, or experiencing pain. Emotional distress, including receiving bad news, experiencing a major disappointment, or witnessing a conflict. Before you even have a meltdown, more often than not, you may experience some warning signs that will tell you that there's a meltdown or an impending meltdown in your near future. And these warning signs include maybe fidgeting more than normal, pacing more than normal, or withdrawing from social situations or from friendships or interacting with the world in general. Now, the other warning signs that may occur before your meltdown include increased anxiety, nervousness, or difficulty concentrating. You may experience difficulty speaking or expressing needs, aka advocating for yourself, or you may start reverting to a nonverbal communication. You may start rocking more, hand flapping more, if you do that originally. If not, you may just start rocking, hand flapping, or other repetitive motions. You may start covering your ears or eyes and avoiding certain sensory stimuli before a meltdown. You could start having some emotional outbursts, but these emotional outbursts can include crying, screaming, or sudden mood swings. Before a meltdown, you may exhibit avoidance behaviors. Avoidance behaviors include withdrawing from social interactions, seeking solitude, or trying to leave the environment. Now, before a meltdown, you may also experience physical reactions, hitting, kicking, or biting, or throwing objects. And the last warning sign that I want to talk about that you may experience before a meltdown is called shutdowns. And that's becoming non responsive, appearing to zone out or reduce movement or activity. Meltdowns can look different for each person, but meltdowns usually present as a physical or verbal response to an overwhelming situation. Some physical responses that a autistic person like you and me may experience or may exhibit during a meltdown include kicking, hitting, biting, lashing out, rocking or flapping, or any other physical activity that you do to express or alert others that you're in distress. Some of the verbal responses that we may experience or participate in during a meltdown include shouting, screaming, crying, or growling. Now, when we do have a meltdown, we may also shut down, lock ourselves in a room, or run away. Now, during a meltdown, you may experience a sense of being flooded by sensory information, emotions, and social stress. During a meltdown, you may experience intense feelings like fear, anger, and sadness while struggling to think clearly or access your memory, making it feel like you are not yourself during this meltdown. During a meltdown, you may feel extremely overwhelmed and you may feel completely out of control, unable to manage the situation and intense emotions, leading to a sense of panic. During a meltdown, you may experience cognitive difficulties, including difficulty thinking clearly, remembering information, and communicating effectively. During a meltdown, you may experience physical symptoms, which may include flushed cheeks, tense muscles, rapid heart rates, headaches, stomach aches, or even self stimulating behaviors. During a meltdown, you may also experience emotional distress, including intense emotions like anger, frustration, sadness, and anxiety. Now, after a meltdown, you may feel drained, exhausted, detached, embarrassed, confused, and or overwhelmed. After a meltdown, you may be needing time and space to recover, which I recommend you find time and space to recover after a meltdown. You need this because the intense emotions that were released during the meltdown can leave you feeling depleted and needing to emotionally regulate yourself. You may also experience feelings of anxiety, sadness, or even remorse about what happened during the meltdown, not to mention embarrassment. This is because a significant amount of energy was used during a meltdown, leaving you feeling physically and emotionally drained. I like the word exhausted personally, but you look at it whichever way you want to. Even after the meltdown subsides, you may experience sensory sensitivities, and the senses may still be heightened, making them sensitive to any stimuli, or more sensitive to normal to the things that cause you sensory overload or underload. Now, you may experience after a meltdown difficulty concentrating or focusing on tasks or conversations can be challenging after a meltdown due to the emotional turmoil that went on and may still be going on inside you. Now, you may need time alone after a meltdown to recover from the meltdown, and you may feel hesitant to interact with others. This is known as social withdrawal. And do not be surprised if after a meltdown you start to experience self doubt and shame. You may feel embarrassed or ashamed about having a meltdown, even though it's an involuntary response. And do not be alarmed if after a meltdown you experience confusion and memory loss. Know that difficulty recalling details of the meltdown itself is common. Because we as humans, when something bad happens in our life, when we do something bad, we kind of, I don't know if it's culturally or whatever, but we tend to block that out of our memory. We don't want to think about the bad things because when we think about the bad things all the time, that damages our self esteem and our self confidence. So our mind may block those things out to protect us and itself from negative feelings about who our identity. Now, after a meltdown, there's several things that can help you bounce back or recover from it. Including after a meltdown, it is important to take care of yourself and start self regulating activities. You should find a calm, quiet place to decompress, and that is crucial. Try some sensory regulation tools post meltdown. Try using calming activities like listening to soothing music. I love doing that. Deep breathing exercises or visiting with a preferred item, like in my case, a needle ball. Another thing you might want to do or should do after a meltdown is letting a trusted individual know about the meltdown and asking for understanding and support can be helpful. Now, when I say a trusting individual, I mean somebody who preferably knows about your autism and accepts it and is an ally of yours. Most important thing you should do after a meltdown is to show yourself self compassion. Be sure to recognize that meltdowns are a part of the autistic experience. Remember, practicing self kindness is important. To prevent a meltdown, understand what situations, sensory experiences, social interactions, etc., that may trigger a meltdown. Learn to recognize your own early warning signs for a meltdown, and when they are present, immediately take action. Let others know you are feeling overwhelmed, that you need a break or an adjustment to the environment, or just take a break or make an adjustment on your own. When possible, try using calming sensory tools like weighted blankets, fidget toys, noise canceling headphones, or calming scents to regulate sensory input. And by doing so, that can help minimize or eliminate a meltdown. You can also open up your bag of self care activities and perform some deep breathing exercises. Slow, deep breaths can help you calm the nervous system. Practice mindfulness by focusing in on the present moment. Try progressive muscle relaxation by tensing and relaxing different muscle groups. Engage in physical activity, such as light exercise, maybe taking a walk or stretching your legs, can help you release tension and de escalate the situation for a meltdown. You can also try listening to calming music. That's one of my favorite ways to kind of ward off a meltdown. And when you listen to calming music, you might want to choose some soothing music. That's what I do. Or just do some more stimming. That can also help minimize the chances or make any meltdown not as intense or completely eliminate them. But the best way, the number one best way to prevent a meltdown starts before you have any warning signs. And that is done by incorporating the following into your daily self care routine. Try reading a book, journaling, taking a nap, meditating, drinking more water, or spending time in nature on a regular daily basis. These activities may help you stay regulated and minimize the number of, if not prevent, meltdowns. If you are around an autistic friend who is having or had a meltdown, you can help by showing support and understanding. Whenever possible, Provide a calm and supportive environment, allowing for your autistic friend who is having or had a meltdown to take a break, and allowing that person to communicate openly. And by allowing that person to do that, let them communicate openly with you about what's stressing them out, what's causing a meltdown, what's overstimulating them, whatever the problem is that's leading up to that meltdown, can help that autistic person manage and recover from a meltdown. Now it's your turn. Share with me your thoughts on this video. Tell me about how you reacted to meltdowns. What were some of your triggers? What are some strategies you used to recover from a meltdown? Share some of the feelings that you went through during the meltdown. What do you do to prevent a meltdown? Or if you have an idea for a topic that you'd like me to discuss on a future video, share it too. You can share by commenting on this video or joining the conversation in the Autistic Adults Embracing Autism community. A link to that community is in this video's description. And until next time, do whatever it takes to fully embrace your autism.